It's awakening.
And I'm getting really excited right now.
I'm glad you're here. Coloring is one of those things that kind of just relaxes people and lets them kind of just enjoy the moment. The googly eyes are a little problem, but luckily you have nails, so I'm hoping that helps.
Okay.
So,
I don't know if I'm going to answer questions. I'm just going to
no,
like
and don't pretend like you need to look at me while doing it too. Please pay attention to this. It's just about coloring what you can, get done what you can, and we'll go from there. You just had the panel right now.
Yeah.
How did that go?
It was bittersweet, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was so nice to like sit with you and and talk and get all the love from us, but then everybody in the audience. It's really beautiful. I love doing this.
Well, I mean, after 8 seasons now, and it's been moving quite well. I watched the first 3 episodes of this next season, and I'm already excited for everyone to catch up to me so I can talk to them. And so you did mention it in the panel, but if you can let us know, what kind of time jump are we looking at here?
7 years. 7 years of the oppression environment of Padre. And we'll see the effects of that on the various characters, you know, and their varying involvement and varying effects of being in the atmosphere of Padre and how damaging of an experience it is.
Well, and all that time, everyone has worked with or kind of lost certain touches too. Where do we find June and Sherry as we come back?
Oh, you know, I think June and Sherry have a really wonderful storyline this season and find a lot of strength in each other, and they really share very similar stories, and I think they work through a lot together. So I've been very fond of their relationship as I've been able to spend time with you. But the two of them go through, I think, some of the hardest things that people might ever have to go through in their life. And I think it really helps that they have the support of each other.
So, of course, we left last season, rafts floating, and, do we kind of reconnect with a lot of those people? Or do we kind of like meter everyone's story to give everyone a chance to kind of reassert where they are?
Yeah, I don't think we can say who crosses paths with who or how or when or what, because that's fun for the fans to see it unfold. So I wouldn't even bother getting close to ruining that discovery. But the water is a factor. It is almost a character in the piece this season, and I just think the move to Savannah and seeing, it's like it connects everyone in a way.
Right.
All these pathways and the stories that flow on the water with all the characters, and that being kind of set up at the end of season 7. I think visually, season 8 is going to be super cool with the new location and the new environment. But, in Fear fashion, these characters do, in certain formations, find their way to each other.
Right.
You know what I mean? We always find ways of finding each other in some form. Right. But Padre is like a wedge in that. So how people may encounter each other is in a via of the Padre essence, which is a very different way than the Fear characters normally would interact. So that's, I think, also another cool. And I have to say, as a fan myself of the Walking Dead universe, I think the fans are going to have a big old delicious donut of the Walking Dead essence in this final season of Fear. And I think it's a very exciting revisit of certain phenomena from The Walking Dead that's going to show up in this final season of Fear in a way that is, I'm sure, will be brought to the forefront as we go closer. But I just need to hint at that, and you saw a little bit of that in the trailer with Morgan. I, as a fan, am very excited. I'm excited for all of the fans to receive
Yeah, well, we've moved closer to that world, and as we moved along those 7 years,
Yeah.
June has gotten harder. She's taken up some weird hobbies of sorts as well. So there is, she's taken the things she knew before and medically made them a little more deadly, I guess is the best way to put it, right?
She just always needs to find a way to help. And when you've got nothing left, how do you help?
Right.
And I think that's the only little string she has, what we will see in the early episodes of season 8.
So with this world now, and the time jump, is Sherry? I think we left her pregnant, correct? Mm-hmm. So there's a movement there, and that kind of family aspect, I'm sure, in this world is taking a hit one way or the other too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the family is a huge part of season 8, and it's the family you choose and the family you have, and how it could be used against you in many ways. And but I think as we see Sherry 7 years into the future at the start of the season, the lengths that she went to protect her family in the best way that she could and knew how, ends up being something that she might regret. And I think, again, it goes back to wanting to serve and protect your family, and that's a huge storyline for Sherry and Dwight this season.
Yeah. So I like to ask, as we go through with characters like this you live with and other people live with too, what did you first think of June and Sherry, and where did you find them now towards the end? Like, how did you first initially imagine them, and where do you find them now?
When we first started with the character?
When you first started with the character, and where do you find them now? Like, how do you think they've grown in maybe even ways you didn't think were possible or even expected?
Ian touched upon this in the panel, I think, about the end is in the beginning in terms of revisiting where our characters started and what was their narrative, what was their trauma, and ending it by them having to face it full on with these themes of family and what is it that gets you through and how and who. And so we met June in a heavy trauma of the loss of her child. And we find June at the beginning of season 8 drowning in trauma that has triggered all of her earlier trauma. So she's just utterly sinking. And so it's going to be an exploration of what pulls you back into oxygen.
Right.
And I've loved that exploration.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
How about for Sherry?
I think what Sherry has been through since we first saw her on The Walking Dead to now, when she first came on Fear, I would use this phrase that this much more hardened version of Sherry as she's been out on the road on her own, grappling with all of this darkness and not really even sure how to process it, just trying to escape it and sort of callousizing it in the process and becoming a much hardened version of herself. And I think as she's progressed on Fear and been able to release so much of that, to be able to work through the darkness and into the light in that way,
yeah,
I think has really shaped her now, and this true resiliency that this character has, and real autonomy, and able to make her own decisions, and be in control, and strength. And I really love that, growing the strength of this woman, through all of the shit that she's been through,
right,
and like every single time still coming out through it, and that much stronger and wiser. And I'm in awe of that.
right.
And look at just the stories for women
Oh yeah.
on this show, and women of every age group,
Yeah.
from young women
Yeah.
to women in their 50s. It's marvelous. And it's been such an honor to be able to portray full women on television on this show.
Right.
It's like a total honor, and I just feel so grateful that both AMC, facilitates and encourages those stories to be told.
Right.
And that Ian and Andrew, as two men, have written these stories. And
Right.
it's just been supremely amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and of course, Madison returns, and
Yeah.
so that is a huge bomb unto itself. And then she comes in swinging with everything. The storylines already are going to be
Yeah.
amazing too. So I'm very excited about that.
Yeah.
There's so many questions I have, but of course, there's a lot of things you can't tell me. So let's go into some more fun aspects. Do you both, or do either have your favorite zombie? Can you tell us where we might have seen it?
Oh.
That's such a hard question
Yeah.
because we are like, for 5 years,
Yeah.
almost daily working with
Right. Well, this new
Zombies,
season has
you're
a lot
like,
of heads.
huh.
I found a lot of heads this season so far, so just heads alone. So
Okay.
Favorite zombie. I don't know. I just really like
That is
the
such a
people that
hard
play the zombies.
I
They're
got you.
great. Oh, when I was
It's hard.
when we
Yeah.
one of the last scenes that we had, I was walking back to the transpo van to go back to base camp, and I'm walking with this guy and one of the walkers, and he's telling me about how he started working on the show when I started working on the show back on The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
I just thought that was so great. How, I mean,
Is that
these,
Jeff?
Yeah, these
Yeah.
guys just play truly a pivotal. They work so hard, and they're truly a pivotal part of this entire show. And yeah, they're our friends.
Yeah.
They're our friends, but they work. It's incredible, really.
And you know what's been blows my mind is these, whether they're stunt people in Walker getup, makeup, or extras.
Right.
I mean, like 5 years on this show, and they're in some pretty stressful, like the heat, the cold, wet, oil, like you name it, it's extreme. It's never subtle, it's never mellow.
Right.
I swear to God, I have never heard one of them complain.
Never.
Ever, not ever.
Never.
And in between setups, and they're changing the camera
So
angle,
true.
and they'll pull their mask off to breathe and get some fresh air, whatever, and they're just like this.
Yeah.
Happy to be, like, better attitudes
Yeah.
than any of us. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's just like, and they're
Yeah.
there before us,
Yeah.
they're there
Right.
way
Yeah.
longer than us.
Hanging
and,
out, playing guitar,
Right.
Yeah.
reading a book. They're just,
There
They're
must be some
walkers.
kind of
they're like you and me.
catharsis and groaning, maybe.
Yeah.
We should have groan out loud more often. Maybe that'll make us more
I don't
even
know,
people.
she groans a lot.
I grown all. I'm like, oh. It's like every time I get in the car, like Christine here. Oh. Everything. I think I just have to have my presence be known, and that's the way I do it.
She'll be like sitting there on set, like on her phone, and all of a sudden she's like, I'm like, oh, Christine's here. I love it. It actually makes me
I
feel
know.
like
It's
happy because I
so
know you're
funny.
nearby.
That's awesome. With your characters too, as actors, you get to, grow with them. Is there something you now get to do or learn to do or interacted with that was just like a pinnacle point of your character where you're like, maybe a new weapon or a new thing you got to do that you're like, oh, this was really cool. I'm really happy about this.
Horse riding.
Ooh.
Let me tell you, I really enjoyed learning how to skillfully ride a horse. And and the stuff that we're doing is difficult. I mean, I'm riding bareback, like no saddle, behind Austin sometimes, and like needing to and communicate with these horses that are also working in these really challenging environments. So you have to like really develop this trust and ability to communicate with them because there's like dust bombs going off and people, fire extinguishers, and people are screaming, and you have to learn to control the horse. And I've really learned how to skillfully ride, and that's something I really appreciate that.
You got good. You got so good. I was very jealous. That was a question, actually. I was super jealous of all the horse stuff you got to do in season 7 because I got a dose of it in season 6, and I love horses, and I was really hoping I could do like a lot because it's like so fun to be on a horse.
It's really great.
Didn't get to.
Fortunately, the walkers never really make it to Montana that much, I guess.
Yeah.
Is the problem, right?
No, we'll have to do like a Yellowstone Walking
Crossover.
Dead.
Yeah.
how dark would that be? Both shows are already dark in their own right, so you just kind of make it even more dramatic at the same exact moment too.
Yeah, that'd be a double down.
100%. Was there anything else you learned, you think, with your character related to?
June became, because of her involvement with John Dory, she became a markswoman.
Yeah.
And I had to learn. So I actually went and trained on these various guns that I had to use, and because I wanted to actually be good.
Right.
Even though in the scene I don't have to hit the target.
Right.
But I wanted to know I could.
Right.
Because June knows what she's doing.
I get
Right.
that.
And even into season 7, you know, there's several different guns she got very proficient at. So I wanted to sort of own that for myself in
Right.
my own sort of muscle memory, you know. So I actually trained target shooting with various guns and got really good. And so that was something I learned that I had never done before.
Is there anything surprising about the Walker universe that you didn't think you'd come away with after working in it?
I had no idea. I feel like I'm a bodybuilder of apocalyptic drama performance now. Like, like from the stunt choreography, weapons. You know, Kim mentioned this earlier. Like the walkie-talkie with the knife and the thing, but then the gun, and then the walkie, and then okay, your frame is this, and you can't, you know, go closer to camera. You'll go out of focus, and the emotional story, and you learn to juggle. That you have to know what the themes are of the season.
Right.
So when you're making your acting choices, you know what you have to lean into in terms of which choice might be the hotter choice or the
Right.
better choice that's more informative to the story and stuff. So it's like, I just feel like not that I gained muscles, but like bodybuilder versions of capacity.
Well, I will say, you know, coming into the season, June walks a purpose. Like for a lot of this, everything she does has a purpose to it, you know. And so that's very interesting as well when we come into her. What would you say her mindset is now in this season if you were to put like a phrase or a word to it?
Oh man. Can you ask her that so I have a second to think
Sure.
about it? I gotta find the right word.
Well,
a phrase or
Sherry's gonna has a hard year too. There's a lot of things she's going through too. So, what do you think that she's gonna have that kind of is gonna mark her, or how does she survive this season? I guess, you know.
Oh, well, I don't know who survives this season,
Yeah.
but coming through it, I think it's this idea that something good could come from something bad. And I think the more that we can remember that, you know, and work through this all, that there is some sort of idea that, you know, that there might be a way out in some way, you know, and just that belief, that hope. I think that is a very big theme of the show in general, just hope. You know, really believe in it, because if you don't, how else are you going to survive?
Right.
And I think it's just a great outlook to have on life in general. You know, how can we turn things around and find the beauty or the light in the darkness?
Right.
And I think that's like a big thing.
I can't think of one word because there's so many aspects, but like
Yeah.
the paralysis of trauma and terror, the paralytic terror that trauma and oppression and betrayal puts you in. How do you move? How do you even know who you are? How do you find yourself? How do you even contribute to existing in the world when you are paralyzed? And how can family in any form, you know, which I think harkens back to when Morgan first crossed over, and when I lose people, I lose myself. And that sort of what that is for each character, that version of how do they lose themselves when they lose people, and what does that do, and how do we find our way back to oxygen?
Right.
Yeah.
One of the things that also has been apparent too is, of course, family, and then the younger generation coming into this season too. How would you say that this season treats the younger generation who has to either take over or is affected by the choices before them?
They're like way better than us. That we can learn from them and be helped by them. They're not just, you know, adults think that just because they came before that we're somehow better suited. And I, as a mother, I'm constantly realizing I'm not the senior mind in the household. My kids are brilliant and I learn from them. And there's, you know, the structure of just being older than someone, there's like a default setting that you're somehow wiser, and it's super not true. And there's a pivotal moment where you really realize that these children are in your life to help you. And I think that we really touch on that with the children in this season, is how badass incredible they are, and how maybe we need them to get through our trauma.
Right. Oh, and also in that same regard, you know, you have Padre and CRM. So, you know, is there any inkling as to, do we find out who and what the connections are, who they are, anything like that? If we say anything on those lines?
That's
Yeah, no, that's really.
That's a Gober question.
That's Gimple. Just ask
think
Scott
he
Gimple.
could.
I don't know. Ask Scott.
Well, you come here to a Comic-Con like this. What is your favorite part of seeing people like this who don't apologize for loving what they love? That's the beauty of Comic-Cons and things like this. People who dress up, who want to be a walker, who want to do whatever they want, you know? There's something beautiful about them being exactly what they want to be in this moment, too. So what's your thoughts when you see these? I'm sure, you know, after a couple seasons, you've seen the fans, and they're all in different regards, to different levels. So.
It truly makes me love being on the show even more. I have been, so deeply emotionally impacted by the fans of the show, and having events like this where you're able to meet them one-on-one and communicate with them and look into their eyes and share these, you know, beautiful human experiences together, and have them tell you theirs. It really makes me just love my job. Truly, I really, really appreciate being on a show like this, because I'm able to connect with such incredible people. Truly. Like,
I find it
passion.
very refreshing, because they are not jaded. They are not narcissists. They are not, they are
empathetic,
super
really
sincere, awesome people. And it's like, anytime I am around the fandom, I feel like it's okay for me to be myself.
Right.
And I'm safe.
Right.
Yeah.
And I am so, I so look forward to it, because I'm safe.
Right.
I'm not trying to be destroyed by anybody. I'm not being competed with. I'm not, like, all the things that Hollywood brings. Like,
Right.
I get to be extroverted. I'm receiving sincerity. It's every value we as human beings appreciate.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's so lovely and peaceful when I get to hang out with them and meet them and be around them, and it's really like something I cherish. Yeah.
Well, I will say that when I saw June this season, between the boots, her kid, and a couple of things there, I'm like, there's a cosplay coming.
Oh, yeah.
I love the cosplay outfits. I truly do. Like, that authenticity and that fun, that playfulness. Oh yeah, love it. So, like, truly. And I just think it's, who doesn't? I mean, I grew up. I love to play dress up. I love it. Of course.
It's your career.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally. And I really love when watching people like creatively express themselves through it. And I think it's great.
Is
Truly.
there a cosplay you would do, or was there ever a Halloween costume you were particularly proud of? You're like, you should have seen this. I'm going to show you this picture. Like, it was amazing. Is there anything, one of those?
Oh yeah,
for you?
I mean, I'm pretty big with my Halloween costumes. I'm definitely big in Halloween costumes. My God, I mean, I've done everything from like Fran Fine to Barbie to, I mean, Disney characters for sure. Yeah, I do love Halloween costumes.
I always got a little shy on Halloween, I have to say.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know why. I think I need to be paid to dress up. I guess. I don't know. I get shy. It's
my
funny.
God, I'm so
That's what
ridiculous.
masks and things are
I
for,
know.
right?
I know.
That's-
With my kids, my youngest gets super into it, and he's really creative, and I get really excited that I can just be in my jeans.
Right.
I don't know. There's like a pressure, and then other people are really good at it.
You were
and
the
I
mom
just
who
get-
stayed in the street, just waved. Thanks.
Yes.
See you later. Bye.
with the flashlight.
Oh my God. One year I dressed in like a punk rock outfit that I made like totally myself, like really just totally punked it out. Got a portable amp and like 3 other people and a guitar, and we like would perform through the subway and on the streets in
That's
New York.
awesome.
And
That
like,
is-
just like really
that is punk
just
rock.
anarchy. And it was, so I really get into it.
That's fun.
Wow,
That's
you gotta
admirable.
see. You gotta show her. Invite her
Yeah,
for the Halloween party for
you
sure.
and me, we're going on tour.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are at the end here. We gotta let you go, but we know the fans had an amazing time. This next season is gonna blow them away, and of course, we have more Walking Dead universe to come as well. So it just keeps
It's
on
exciting
going.
times.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
exciting times, 100%. Could you show us what you did and let them just kind of let them see and explain what is this right here?
I'm yelling at Dee to answer the phone. And I
Mine
tried to
says
do
he's
this
hungry.
sort of, I don't know, this Warhol sort of. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Mine just says he's hungry.
As he is.
I like that I compared mine to Warhol.
Well, we'll frame it and put it on the fridge, one way or the other, too. Well, I want to thank you very much.
Thank you.
You know, as I said, you know, whenever you do a show like this, especially for people like this, your characters live on for them 100%, no matter what. So it's a special place in their heart to be that, whether they play you or just enjoy, you know, checking in with you ever so often as well. So thank you very much,
you.
and have a great day. Thanks for coloring with us.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for
Pleasure.